Today I just want to go over a few things about how to move around in the screen and just some simple navigational tools along with customization. So just a few things about menu structure and where we move around. So under the file we have all the modules themselves that are also available on the module menu bar. And then we have the companies, and usually it's a shorter list than that. That's for testing. And then we also have settings and defaults and things like that. This is pretty keyboard button here right now. This is the customization screen, and this one basically this button you'll find throughout the program in certain situations. This one here controls the main screen. So this screen right here that you're seeing, that's the main screen. And so there's the restore screen settings, which will resize it back to the default and take away any customization. Any customization that you do is per user. So per user, when you make a change to that screen and you save it, the next time you log in as that user, it should appear this exact same way. There's a slight exception to that. If you've loaded an update that screen has been changed, you may need to reset up your specific customizations. So just forewarning, when you get an update and things don't seem quite right, you may need to restore your screen settings and then customize it again to your preferences. So let's go through the first one. That's just the basic list form. You'll find the list form throughout the whole program, and the first thing you want to do is just the basics of moving a column. So you get to drag columns back and forth to rearrange the order of the columns that you would like to see them in. And again, you have a save button. Notice this save button here is different than the main button. So, but it serves the same purpose, just focused on the screen that it's on. So again, the first things that we covered was the moving columns back and forth, and as soon as we get them in the order that we want to save the current settings. So when we close that screen and then we open up that screen again, it comes up with columns in that order that we have chosen. So beyond moving the columns around, we may also choose just to have columns not show up or include additional columns. So right here in the upper left hand corner is the column customization button. It's actually just this upper left hand corner of the grid. So we click on that and you'll see a checkbox. Everything that has a checkbox in front of it is the columns that are currently showing. Now they may not be showing in the immediate field just because the bar on the slide left or right may be off to the outside of the view, but they are in the current grid settings. So you can unselect by checking the box, and you can have columns disappear, and so to further customize. And there may be columns such as these last three that are not showing currently that you may want to add. So in this way you can specify which columns show and do not show in the screen. Again, every time you make a change, go back and save the current form settings. So along with changing the order of the columns and showing which columns can show up, you can change the width by clicking on the line between columns and change the size of the columns to better fit them onto your screen. So each time we do that, we can move things around, not only the order but the size, and make them so that you can get more across your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and save that again, the current form settings, and so that when we close that, it will open back up in the order and showing the columns and the widths that I have chosen them to be. And it's saved per user on the main system or in the main database, and therefore any computer you log into would have those same settings. Cautionary note there: if the screens are very different between the computers you're working on, you may want to potentially use two different logins. That way, if you need to customize it that much, you may need to make it per the screen. So that's the basics of this list screen or grid screen as far as the customization. We have additional customization on each individual screen. As far as the detail screen, you can change some of them. You can change grids, such as these, or but the main thing you can change usually is the size, and so that you may want to make it so it shows more of that information. And again, on a detail screen, you'll see the button in the lower left hand corner for the same UI settings to save your customization. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this, but then I'm going to hit the edit again, and notice it comes up wider, and it's pretty close to the same position that it may come up or not. So that's for the detail screen. You can make some changes in that, a little less than you can on the list screens. Now on the main screen itself, we have some additional areas that we can customize, and that is with the main menu. So on the main menus, with the bars across the top, you can actually change the order of the bars. The third bar in this is the window bar, which actually will show up with the items. Each screen that you open will come across the top, and so that you can switch between those screens back and forth, just like the Windows taskbar used to with the older versions of Windows. So that's the function of that bar. And then there's some settings under each user, the security users. You can actually turn on and off some of those menu options. You can turn off confirm exit, which is so that you can tell yourself whether to ask the program, do you really want to close it, or you can turn off the show background type thing, which is the graphic form in the background next time you log in from that standpoint. So there's some options there as far as per user under the security settings. And more things as far as the menus themselves. You can actually hit the customization or this add remove button. Notice at the far right there's a little down arrow here, and I clicked on that and it said the add remove button. I'm going to click on that, and I can actually hide whole modules. So let's say we're not using the quality module. I can just check the box in front of it, and it shows or doesn't show on that screen. And when you do, again, you can choose this to save that and save the screen settings, and that's on the main form. So now the next time you open it, that menu option is not available on this toolbar. If I come back to the file screen, it's actually still there underneath there. So it's still available, but we've hidden it from the daily aspects, or so that kind of focus on what we do use in the program. Another option in the menus area, we come back to this, there's a button across the bottom, is the Customize button. Now this one can serve a purpose. If you click on the commands, you'll see all the individual buttons within the menu structure. So you'll see all this individual list of action items that can be done in the menus. So here's one that you may or may want to do, and that's with the customizing, is you may want to move something. So let's say I got a call today from somebody that said I'd prefer to have the customer list over here in the receivables. So I've moved that, but I could actually put it back to where it was underneath the receivables, because that's normally where we find it. But for your purposes, if you say, oh no, I want to have that readily available, I can just click and drag. So I've selected it and I've drug it up and down the menu structure to move it from there. Now let's say there's some part of the program I'm not using. Let's say I'm not using the service and repair module. I can just click it out of that menu, and now it's not even in the drop down list to be seen. And same thing is true as far as when you close it. Make sure you can use the save screen settings, or you can restore it back to the original. So that's a few tips on how you can manipulate your screen to make it more user friendly for you. And so everything that you set up per your user will be saved in this way. Thanks for listening.